Hi there, my name's Rob J. Hayes, and today I'm going to be reading to you from Along the Razor's Edge, which is book one of The War Eternal, which is releasing on the 30th of March. Okay. Prologue. My life began the day we lost the war. I remember seeing the fire go out of Yosef's eyes. I remember seeing my oldest friend give up and surrender. Eskara, stop! It's over, we've lost! We were surrounded by enemies, standing atop the tallest tower of Fort Vernan. The city around us was chaos. A battle played out in the darkest shades of red. Beyond the city was a scorched ruin, fields turned black by fire and war. It's not over! I screamed, a shard of ice forming in one hand while the other burst into green flame. We can take them! We are the Emperor's weapons! Oh, the overconfidence of youth, before the hammer and anvil of time and reality have beaten us into whatever shape society demands. I remember 20 men and women surrounding us, though my memory is fuzzy from rage. Perhaps it was more like 10. Some were warriors with glowing armour, enchanted to deflect magic. Others were sorcerers like Yosef and I. Well, not quite like us. We were beyond them, in our prime, each with 5 sources lending us power. It's over, Yosef said again, grabbing my arm and pointing. Down below, on the field of battle, I could see the 2 armies clashing, crashing against each other. Horns sounded over the din, echoing up to our ears, and I saw flags falling, the telltale blue blur of a chronomancer darting between units, relaying the orders. Our soldiers laying down their arms. Yosef was right. The order had been given to surrender. It might not have reached us yet so high up, but it would. After 10 years of war, the Oran Empire was crumbling. I didn't know it then, but the Emperor was already dead. While the battle raged at our door, and I rained down 5 types of bloody hell upon our enemies, they had infiltrated the palace and ended the Oran bloodline once and for all. Stand down, ordered one of the Terralan soldiers. His armour was silver with etched runes glowing pink. There was fear on his face, as well there should have been. I saw it there and smiled. We had already killed so many of his comrades. They were right to fear me. The sky was on fire, blood red showing behind the grey clouds, lightning rippling overhead and thunder rattling the earth, a meteormancer beating out a dramatic ending to the 10-year war. There are times in life when it is wise to lay down and accept defeat. It is a lesson Yosef learned early on in his life. I, as always, was the slower learner. No, I will not lay down, and my mouth fumbled out a strangled cry as Yosef hit me from behind, and the world went bright for a moment. The next thing I remember, I was down on my hands and knees, staring at stone the colour of ash. It was rough to the touch and cold despite the battle. I've always been attuned to temperature. Pyromancy was the first school I mastered and remains one of my most proficient. When I looked up, I saw a woman rushing towards me. She wore Terralan robes and her eyes glowed green with her magic. I felt a wave of hopelessness wash over me, quashing my will to fight. Hands grabbed hold of me from behind and pulled me up to stare at the woman with the glowing eyes. She reached into a pouch hanging from her belt and pulled out a clump of brown weed. I clenched my jaw shut and struggled against the hands holding me, but I was not strong enough. My power lay in magic, not brute strength. Fingers pushed into my cheeks so hard I felt them puncture the skin. They forced my mouth open and shoved the weed inside. Then there was a hand underneath my jaw, clamping my mouth shut. The taste was bitter and spicy all at once, so hot it burned my tongue and made my eyes water. Too late, I thought, to use magic. With a surge of power, I ignited my hands into searing green flame. Those holding me screamed and fell away. I leapt back to my feet just as the first wave of vertigo hit. The world turned upside down and then wobbled, finally righting itself with a violent shake. I was back on my hands and knees again, the green flame guttering out even as I watched. You can't control the retching once it starts. Spiceweed is potent stuff. Within moments, I was hacking up the contents of my stomach while struggling to breathe. My first sauce hit the floor in a pool of acidic vomit. It held a faint orange glow, already fading. I felt my connection to fire fade with it. The second sauce to go was my connection to the otherworld. It was larger than the others, with hard edges, and bringing it back up was beyond painful. Somewhere above, I knew the Hellions I had summoned would tear free of their bondage and fly away. Unleashed monsters are a blight on the world, but a few monsters to hunt down are less dangerous than I with a sauce in my stomach. My last 3 sauces I vomited up as well, each with a sticky coating of blood. They were snatched away as soon as I retched them onto the floor. I was exhausted. Bringing up sauces has always been that way for me. It takes such effort, as though my body refuses to let go of the power, even once it starts to hurt me. And it has hurt me. Many times. I lay there on the rooftop of the tallest tower of Fort Vernan, in a pool of my own vomit and blood, beaten, stripped of my power, and so fucking angry. My hands were pulled behind my back and I felt rope wrap around them, a distant discomfort I barely registered as the misery of my defeat rose up to claim me. At just 15 years old, I had fought in the greatest war mankind has ever known. I had been one of Oren's most powerful sorcerers, celebrated by our allies and feared by our enemies. I had helped bring prosperity to my emperor's land, destruction to his foes. And now, I was a prisoner, my power gone with my sources. There was only one place the Terralans would send a prisoner as valuable as I. The pit. That's the first, the chapter, the prologue from Along the Razor's Edge, which, as I say, is releasing on the 30th of March. Thank you.